So welcome back to the course of Articulate Storyline 360, and it's pretty important that we continue with our concept of triggers and how we build user engagement with that. Now we have already seen how we can use triggers to show different slide layers when the user throws in correct or incorrect responses. And you can think of various different situations wherein you can use triggers showing different slide layers. Today's tutorial we build upon the trigger session and show how we can attach it to different character states. Now we already have seen some portion of it, but today since this is a topic which is pretty important, we just wanted to cover this in a little more detail. Like you would obviously understand that anytime you create a slide, it will show a timeline of the different objects that are on the canvas or the slide. Now, if there happens to be a character object, you will obviously understand that the character may also have its own state. Now, in this particular slide, we see that we have an object and she is Lily. And quite likely, as you understand, Lily will have her own states, which may be happy, stressed, worried, surprised. Now, the whole idea here is that can we use triggers that can, like based on user responses, change the character state. Now this is a likely yes, and let's look at how simple it is to do this. Now here, like we have seen in our earlier tutorial, we are basically trying to play around with a mathematical quiz, and then we are asking the user to click on the right or the incorrect response, like based on whatever he thinks is right or wrong. So basically we are asking a simple mathematical operation 2 into 5, and the right response happens to be 10. Say for example, the user decides to click on an incorrect response. We want the lady or the character here to have a worried look, and if the user like hovers over the right response, we want the character here to have a happy or a delighted look, which should make the user more confident while selecting the right response. Now, is that kind of a thing possible? It's very much possible. We have seen it. Let's look at it again. So like you already understand, when we want to attach a trigger to a certain object, we want to highlight the object. We want to highlight the object by clicking, or rather like somewhere tapping on the boundary, and we can see the whole thing getting highlighted, which means that this object has now been selected. Now this is a button object, this is 7, so the user, when he or she clicks on 7, what do we want to happen? So for that we now need to create a trigger. So we go under the trigger wizard, we click on add a new trigger. Now do we want to show a layer? Because this slide has different layers. No, we want to change the character state. Please do understand that you can attach multiple triggers, so that's not an issue here. But now presently we want to change the state of the character. So here we want to change the character state. So we change state of not 7, we want to change state of Lily, and we want to make her happy when the user doesn't click but hovers. So that's like moving the mouse over, and where's 7? So that's already selected for us because that's what we did. So we click on OK. So that's what happens when the user hovers on 7. Now what should happen when the user hovers on 10? Well, that's the right response, and that's like when Lily should become happy. Oh, oh, so we have done something wrong. In the earlier one, we wanted her to be sad because that was the wrong. So it's my mistake, my bad, sorry. So change state of Lily to happy when the user is selecting the right thing. So user hovers off 10, so that's great. But here on 7, we can always edit this, and we want to make it disappointed when the user hovers on 7. So you can always go ahead and edit, like the triggers which you have set. You can always go ahead and delete this. Just right click and delete, edit, anything is possible. So again for 8, again we want say maybe her to kind of seem surprised. So we attach a new trigger, change state of Lily to surprised when the user clicks 8. And then finally on 9, again we want her to be shocked. So Lily, and in case we have shocked, I don't know. Well, surprised is something very nearby, or maybe thinking, like when the user clicks 9. Well, once you do all this, just don't think that it gets saved automatically. You see this asterisk out here? So do Control S. I think if you have been using Word, Excel, you already know is the same thing that you do. So it's always great to use Articulate Storyline because most of the Office features remain the same, at least in terms of saving. So, well, now that you have saved, you can go ahead and preview the slide. When you preview the slide, it won't go ahead and preview the whole slides of the entire scene. So you only preview the slide, right? So I go ahead and preview this slide, and which means that now if I hover over the responses, so 7, she becomes worried. 10, she becomes happy because that's the right response. 8, she is not kind of happy. And 9, well, the same normal stupid look. So I think that's great. I mean, if you want to kind of look at the states which we had here, so I mean, this 8 didn't actually work, right? I mean, something didn't work here. So I mean, what happened wrong? So this part of it is referred to as troubleshooting. You see, we have used user clicks, but we were actually hovering. So you can go ahead and you can like mouse hovers over and surprised. So this is again a very important thing. If you did notice what went wrong and you were thinking, well, Amlan is kind of teaching the wrong way. Well, this portion was done deliberately to make you understand how important it is to troubleshoot your story files. And when you preview, check whether the things are working the way you thought it should. If it isn't, just check what's going wrong and maybe you can find a solution like how we did. Now again, we do a control S and let's now look if things work. So whether Lily gets surprised, well, with 7 she's sad, 10 she's happy, she's surprised with 8 and she is thinking on 9, things are perfect. So well, in the last tutorial we looked at how we can use like triggers to build interactivity with user responses throwing upon different slide layers, and in this tutorial we looked at how we can still further use triggers and use it to kind of play around with character states. So here the character was Lily and she had different states of happy, stressed, worried and surprised. Based on user responses we throwed upon different states. So you can actually use triggers in variety of different ways as well, showing different slides, showing light boxing. So there are so many things. So we'll look at some of them if time permits, and hopefully we catch up with you in the next one.